So a very warm welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for coming along. You're more than welcome here at the first of our sessions for newly and recently qualified teachers, or early career professionals is what you're sometimes called as well. So you're very welcome. I'm going to introduce us all in a few moments, but just for now, just a little bit of housekeeping as regards being within a webinar in Teams. We are sharing the slides on PowerPoint Live today, so any links that appear on the screen you should be able to click on. However, PowerPoint Live can be a little bit flaky, so we're just hoping the technology works for us, but there's some added accessibility functions that are really good in PowerPoint Live, so we will try and keep it in PowerPoint Live if we can. You'll notice just below, you should be able to see the slides, and just below the slides you should be seeing 2 of 28 at the moment, because I'm on slide 2 of 28. You can navigate forwards and backwards through the slides, so if I navigate on to the next slide but you've missed the link and you would like to go back, feel free to do that. There's a few accessibility options as well that you can, if you click to the 3 dots just to the right of that slide shifter, you can view the slides in high contrast, and you can also translate the slides if you wish into a number of other languages. There are also options from the 3 dots at the top of your screen, and that is being able to view the slides in full screen or Zoom if you wish. And you can also turn on live captions as well, and we will do our best to talk clearly so the live captions actually do understand what we're saying. If you would like to ask a question or make a comment, please do feel free to pop your hand up. You'll get the little hand at the top of the screen. You can pop that on, or you can just pop your question into the chat function as well. So a number of different options as to how you can communicate with us in the Teams call. We've also got a Padlet that we're going to ask you to use for saving some questions, because the chat will disappear after the meeting. So particularly if there's an important question that we want to keep a hold of as and keep note of as we go through all these sessions, we'd prefer to use the Padlet, because that's obviously can be kept. You might appear, somewhere on your screen might appear the option to take control. If you do have that option, we hope you don't, but if you do, please don't do that, because it does cause havoc. So please do just navigate back and forward through the slides as you like, but please don't take control. So just in the session today, we're going to start off with some introductions. And then we're going to have an overview of the year programme that we've got, that we've designed for you. We're going to talk about some of the recurring themes that we're going to pepper into our sessions over the year, and just give you some examples of some of the kind of interactive activities we're going to ask you to do during sessions as well. So we'll have a flavour of a couple of those today as well. Today's session is significantly about looking at key documents and publications that are really critical for your teaching in numeracy and maths throughout your career, but certainly over the coming years are going to be particularly helpful. We're going to describe some of the ongoing sources of support from ourselves and other places that you can look for support for teaching numeracy and maths. And towards the end, we're going to look at events that are coming up very shortly and further down the line, and we're going to look ahead to session 2. So I'm probably very rude in the fact that we haven't done this first section just now, so the introductions really are what we're going to look at next, and this is us. So on the call today from Education Scotland, we've got my colleague Nanette speaking to you from the lovely Ayrshire coast. And Nanette is part of the Southwest team, so looking after the local authorities in the Southwest. You've got myself, my name's Iona, and I'm in the Northern team and coming to you today from Highland Perthshire. And my colleague Steve is also on the call. He's in the Southeast, and speaking to you today from Dunbar. Like the rest of Scottish Government employees, a lot of us are still working from home, but during the year we do hope to be out and about in our regions as well, at least a little bit more than we have been over the last year and a half or so. So now really, it's over to you. Nanette, how are the breakout rooms going? Are you in a position where we can do this?
I am, but there's been a couple of people just have come in the last couple of minutes, so they might not immediately go in, but if you don't immediately go into room, don't panic, just sit tight and you should then move into room. I have enabled cameras and mics, so when you go into the breakout room, it's a good idea just to switch on your camera and your microphone so that you can see who you're speaking to. There's quite a few people, Iona, saying that they've lost audio.
I don't quite know why, because I'm hearing you as well.
I don't know. Yeah. If you're on your mobile phone, because I'm on my phone, there's a speaker, then you can say audio device or speaker or no audio. So if you're on your mobile, it might be that symbol there, just to try that.
It might be that we had a brief interruption in the signal. So again, I think there's a few people have left and rejoined, and that I'll just pop that in the chat. So we'll just give it a second. Try leaving and rejoining. Okay, so for those of you who do have audio, I hope it's a decent number of you, we're going to ask you to pop out into breakout rooms and really just introduce yourself, and could you share a good news story from this last working week? It might be something funny somebody said in class, or a lesson that went well, or a positive conversation that you had with a learner or a colleague. So anything from your working life, or indeed just from outside of school, that has worked really well for you in the last week. Just share some positive good news stories. So once the rejoiners have kind of, I think that's maybe settled down again.
Okay, I'm going to open the rooms up now, Iona. As I say, if you don't immediately jump into a room, don't panic. I will move you across. But I'm just going to open the rooms now, so it should just take a minute or so, and then you will see a 10-second warning that comes up on the screen, and at that point you will just automatically pop into your breakout room.
Grant, so for those of you who maybe didn't quite catch the start of the session, just to introduce us again, my name's Iona Coots. I am a Numeracy Maths Education Officer for the Northern team. And we've also got on the call Nanette today, who is from Southwest, and Steve as well, who's from the Southeast. And we are going to be running the sessions over the year. And these are the sessions that you'll have seen on the sign up. And you'll have seen from the registration and the promotional material that we really do hope that you can come along to all 9 sessions. They are designed to be a suite of professional learning and, a continuation of one another, so that you can really develop your practice over the year. It's more likely that you're going to have lasting impact on your practice than if you come to just the odd one-off session. And as you will be aware, numeracy and maths is just such a huge area, and we want to try and do more than just scratch the surface by 1 or 2 sessions. We've packed a lot of content into each of the sessions, but we would like to reassure you that we don't expect you to take in absolutely everything we say and try out absolutely everything that we talk about by any stretch of the imagination. We'd like you to access as much as you feel you're able to in each of the sessions, but we're also going to make the slides and recordings available for you to refer back to at any point. So that'll help you just refresh your knowledge if there's something you want to revisit later on in the year. We know that being a newly or recently qualified teacher can be really overwhelming. We've all been in your shoes. So the aim is not to add more pressure to you and your practice, but to try and support you throughout this year and to help you raise your confidence in your planning and your delivery of high quality learning experiences. We're going to email out the links to access each session roughly 4 weeks before. So really it'll probably coincide with the end of one session. You'll get the links to the next session fairly close soon after we finish a session. You will be asked to complete a registration form to access each of the sessions, but it's just much shorter. It's really just you confirming with your name and email that you are going to hopefully be able to come along to each session. This particular group is looking at BGE over the 2nd to 4th levels, and we will also link up into the senior phase as well. You might have realised from the chat earlier on that we've got a parallel session running for early years and primary staff as well. The reason that we're looking at 2nd through to 4th level and including 2nd level is that it's really important to understand where learners have come from when if they are embarking on 3rd and 4th level when they come into the secondary. But also you will have a number of learners who are still working at 2nd level and even earlier than that. And so we do have lots of resources and support available for you if you are working with learners who are not accessing 3rd and 4th level by the time they reach you in the secondary departments. So the session today will hopefully be finished just around or just after 5 o'clock, but the other sessions in the year are going to be slightly longer and covering slightly more, and those sessions will go from 4 until 5:30. We decided to offer these sessions based on a couple of things. So firstly, we had a lot of feedback from sessions we provided last year, and it was particularly positive from those who were in their first few years of teaching. And secondly, we do recognise that the last couple of years have been particularly unusual for obvious reasons, and not everybody will have had the same opportunities to develop their confidence and experience with the sort of interrupted nature of the learning over the last couple of years. These sessions are really intended to be a safe space to explore effective approaches to learning and teaching and assessment within numeracy and maths, and to give you a chance to reflect on your practice and to strengthen your own practice. And we fully appreciate that some of you will have just started your teaching career, and but across all the attendees we might have a varied level of classroom experience. So we really just want you to take what you can from these sessions, and we know that each of you will gain something different from each of the sessions. We've based all the sessions on the national model for professional learning, and the model is based on what best evidence there is around into what makes effective professional learning that has impact on real outcomes, not just for teachers but for learners, the children and young people that you all are working with. As I said earlier, if you caught that, there's 2 ways to make a comment or ask a question. The first is in the Teams chat, so do feel free to ask questions or raise your hand or pop anything in the chat that you would like. But of course that's lost after the webinar, so we have a permanent Padlet which is going to be available throughout the year for you. And you can either use the QR code if you want to use a different device, or you can click the link that you see on the screen at the moment, and that will enable you to navigate to the Padlet. Over the session, in any session, if you just double click on the green background, you can add a question. You can resize it and reposition it after you've published it. So you type in your question, you publish it, and then you can move it around the screen and resize it if it's too small or too big. There's 2 sections to this Padlet. There's the car park. So if you have a question about today's session, just park it in the car park and we'll try and get back to it at some point during the session. But if it's something that's a burning question or a topic that you would like us to cover in a future session, or just something you'd like to hear other opinions about from other people in the group, you could pop it over towards the big questions side. You can, and any question that you pop over on that side, we would really encourage you to add comments onto other people's questions. So it might be that somebody asks for suggestions about teaching a particular topic, or it might be asking for support around something that happens in the classroom. If you want to pop that over in the big questions, then please do feel free to support each other by adding comments and your ideas into that. There's a lot of you, you'll have a lot of ideas and support for each other. So we do hope that you'll be able to do that. So hopefully you've all managed to navigate to the Padlets. Just to recap, ones on the left are for today's session, and ones on the right are for anything that you would like us to cover in the future, or anything you would like to ask the group about. So those are the big questions. So I'm going to pass over to Steve now, who's going to look at some of the recurring themes that we're going to mention throughout the series of sessions over the coming few months.
Thank you, Iona. Thanks very much. Throughout these sessions, folks, a number of themes will appear, and the first one's there. The first theme is about giving learners opportunity to develop their mathematical reasoning and integrating this into your everyday practice rather than viewing it as something separate. We aim to give you lots of ideas of activities you can try with learners that help them to think a bit more deeply about their maths, and reasoning will be the focus of the January session. We've got a chance to see a couple of these today, including this one here from Chris McGrain's Starting Point Maths. Chris is a PT in Holyrood in Glasgow, and his site's there if you haven't seen it. The first part, as you can see, is an opportunity to check with your learners whether they understand that in the task, the smaller circles are closer to 0, and convention would have the blue negative numbers to the left and red positive numbers to the right. Thanks, Iona. In the questions, the learners are asked to consider whether these representations show positive answers, negative answers, or 0. You could also ask whether they will always give a positive answer or a negative answer, or could actually represent more than one answer, depending on the value you give each representation. The discussion you have with your learners and the chance for explanation is what's really important to help you explore your learners' understanding. If you haven't visited Starting Points, it would be good to have a look at Chris's approach to task design. And as Iona said, you can click on the link or come back and look another time. Thanks very much, Iona. Moving on to our next theme, we'll also look at how you can use assessment in your classroom and beyond as a tool for learning. One of the biggest frustrations we can feel is when marking unit or end of year assessments, asking ourselves why our students don't seem to remember what we've taught them. One of the best tools in your teacher toolkit to help improve learning is to use formative assessment strategies, to routinely find out what your students know through questioning, through quietly watching and listening to what's going on in class, assisting your students where needed and challenging them to progress further, through reviewing what learners have been doing when studying or actually completing written assessments you give them, giving them a chance to discuss their answers and their thought processes and to reflect on what they need to do to improve. Although you may not have heard of retrieval practice, you probably practice it in class if you use lesson starters. Reviewing prior learning, requiring students to think back to what they've been taught in the past and also apply this previous knowledge in their current learning can help strengthen learning in your own classes. Crucially, as you and your students become really aware of what they know and what they don't know, this can help tailor feedback to help your learners progress. We've provided links to some of our professional learning resources on retrieval practice and other methods of assessment, and these are available in what's called our professional learning community, which we'll tell you more about later. As part of your ongoing professional development, we hope these resources, along with our future sessions, will help you develop your own confidence and skills in using retrieval and formative assessment in learning. Thanks, Iona. There are lots of manipulatives, often also referred to as concrete materials, that can be used in maths. You may have used some of these before, and it is possible that your school has at least some of these resources in the department. There is no need for you to go away and start using all of these at once, but we will reference the use of different manipulatives within this programme, and we encourage you to find out more about them over time and what makes them effective. There may be colleagues in your department or in, for example, support for learning using a particular manipulative that you'd like to look at and observe them using, and there are also many videos available online. Our sessions will look at how to use many of these resources effectively and how you can adapt them to meet the needs of individual learners. What you see here is not exhaustive, and there are more that we could have included on here and that you will likely come across. Again, please don't feel you need to go away and learn how to use them all. Take your time to learn about how to use one or two and how they can help improve learners' experiences. There are also many pictorial representations with just a few examples you can see on the screen. These can provide a bridge between the concrete and the abstract, but can also be powerful tools in their own right to support understanding and to allow learners to articulate their thinking in class. We will continue to refer to pictorial or visual representations throughout this programme. Thanks, Iona. We'll also regularly talk about digital tools that can help enhance learning and teaching and also develop your learners' digital skills. Lots of the tools that we'll talk about are linked to on our digital learning page of our PLC, Professional Learning Community, that I mentioned earlier. And there's also a wealth of tools out there, from interactive multi-sided dice and toy theatre to digital geoboards on Math Learning Centre. Lots of sites have tools like interactive clocks to teach time, such as the one here on Mathagon. And of course there's MathSpot, which we can really recommend as probably one of the best useful free tools for digital learning. We will share ideas over the coming months on how to use these resources in learning and teaching. Thank you. This is the first time we've done this course, which is why in the starting slide we asked you to complete a quick survey. We'll also be carrying out a mid-point evaluation after the 4th session to make sure that we are continuing to meet your needs. We've decided to use this approach rather than asking you to fill out an evaluation at the end of every session, and if you didn't get a chance to complete the survey at the beginning, we would be grateful if you could do so now by using your phone to scan the QR code or by clicking on the link in the chat or on the screen. If for any reason you can't access it just now, please don't worry, as you can complete it after the session. Our intention is to break up all the listening by adding in some maths activities throughout. You can see on the screen here we've put up a wee activity for anyone who's completed the survey. This one's from Which One Doesn't Belong, and it's an activity where you're asked to find the odd one out and explain why. The key here, if you use it with learners, is that actually it could be any one of them. It doesn't belong depending on the criteria that you set as the teacher. Take a few minutes just now to complete the survey if you haven't. Get up and have a stretch or have a go at the wee activity, and then Nanette will take us through the next section. Thanks very much.
If you've got any thoughts on which one's the odd one out in the little task, let's name them A, B on the top, A left, B right on the top, and then C, D underneath. If anybody would like to give a reason why A, B, C or D could be the odd one out, because they all can be depending on how you view them. If you just want to pop it in the chat, you could say I think D is the odd one out, or D because blah blah blah. So we've got the first one there. B, no real roots. Yep. Any other reasons why A or C or D could be the odd one out?
Miss McHatton, did you get the presentation?
So C is the only concave up parabola that we've got there, absolutely. C has a positive, that'll be the only one with the positive x squared coefficient, absolutely. D is the only repeated root, lovely, yeah. So what we're really, this activity, one of the benefits of this activity is it really starts asking learners to use very specific mathematical language, being able to start, and you can kind of model that and you can encourage learners to use that, and it's also getting them to see that it just again gets you to attend to the different features of these quadratic graphs that you might want them to attend to. So so we've got yep, A is the only one with no horizontal shift as well. Yeah, so or you could see again the y-axis is an axis symmetry there. Lots of different things that lots of different ways that learners could express that as well. So really encouraging learners to use that sort of correct mathematical language being very specific about what they're seeing, and trying to mould their answers so that they can become more and more sort of the kind of answers that you're looking for with sort of the correct descriptive language. So that's our which one doesn't belong activity, a really good one to use, and there's a link to that website down at the right hand side that you can see. Everything that we use will link to, so you'll know where it's come from. Nanette, how are you fixed? Have you managed to get everything resolved to go on to the next section?
Yeah, happy to move on. I'm not sure if she got it or not. Haven't had a response. I've sent it across, so hopefully the slides are available. Just as a reminder to everybody that this is being recorded this afternoon, and the recording will be available on the PLC as soon as we can get it uploaded. Okay, so moving on, Iona mentioned at the start that we would highlight some of the key documents around numeracy and mathematics. So I'm going to go through this quite quickly. I'm sure that most of you will already be aware of these, but you know, we couldn't have this session without mentioning the E's and O's and the benchmarks. I'm sure, as I said, you are aware of them. But we just wanted to highlight that those are really important documents for you to have a read at. There's also the milestones documents to support those of you that are working with learners who have complex additional needs. And these documents, along with the others that I'm going to mention over the next few slides, we've created a one-page stop for them so that you will have easy access to them. Thanks, Iona. Okay. So the document on the left-hand side there, you will probably recognise as the final report of the Making Maths Count Group, which was published in 2016. The report identified 3 key themes for national focus, and these were transforming public attitudes to maths, improving confidence and fluency in maths for children, young people, parents, and all those who deliver maths education to raise attainment and achievement across learning. And finally, to promote the value of maths as an essential skill for every career. And from these themes, 10 recommendations were outlined, and these were agreed by Scottish Government in full. Much of our work still focuses around these themes, and if you haven't had a chance to read the report, although it was now published a few years ago, it's a really worthwhile read, so I would recommend having a look. More recently, and partly in response to the Making Math Count recommendations, between January 2019 and June 2019, Her Majesty's inspectors visited 40 centres and schools across the 32 local authorities in Scotland. There they observed lessons, they met with head teachers, curriculum leads, class teachers, children and young people and other stakeholders. And the intelligence gathered in these visits, along with wider evidence from the school inspection programme, was used to pull together the Multiplying Skills, Adding Value thematic report. The report was published in December 2019, and it focuses on what's working well, what's improving, and what the challenges and areas for improvement are. Again, worth a look when you get a chance. In August 2020, we published a suite of numeracy professional learning resources. Now, this was worked on by the team, which includes Iona, Steve and myself, and our 3 colleagues with a numeracy, a sort of primary early years background. These cover each of the organisers for numeracy. They outline the approaches for effective learning and teaching, and they go from early level through to 4th level. They also contain a number of reflective questions that are designed to be used by groups of practitioners when planning for change or for improvement. Towards the end of 2020 and throughout 2021, we've designed and delivered a series of national webinars to complement these resources. 5 of the sessions in this programme that you have signed up for are based around the resources. and we'll highlight which resource that is in plenty of time before that session's coming up. And we would recommend that you take some time to have a look at the resource we're focusing on before attending the relevant session. We're just going to have a quick look back at the car park just to check and see if there's any questions have appeared. Anything there, Iona, Steve?
Nope, not yet. We'll just pop a, I was just going to pop the link in, but I think
I've got the link, Iona.
Brilliant, thanks. You pop that in again just to see if anybody's got any questions so far. We've also, there was a couple of questions just about the names of the reports. So the Making Maths count in 2016, and then there's one of the responses to that was from HMI, which was the multiplying skills and adding value in 2019. Those two documents and basically all the others that we refer to are on that link that I've popped in the chat. That's our landing page on the National Improvement Hub. So it links to really all our publications. That's your best bet. If you're looking for anything maths, I would get that one on your favourites. It's quite a handy page to have on your favourites that you can find anything quite easily. So if you have any other sort of burning questions or anything, if you want to pop them on the Padlet, please do feel free to do that. And if you think of anything after the session that you would like for us to address, again, please pop them on the Padlet. That is going to be the same Padlet we're going to use all year. So again, if you maybe want to add that one to your favourites as well, it means you can find it easily. If between now and the next meeting you have this question that you kind of think, yeah, I want them to, I'd like them to cover that. So please do.
Okay, thanks, Anna. If you can move on to the next one, thanks. So I think we've mentioned a couple of times already this afternoon the professional learning community, and this is another one to add to your favourites because it is a one-stop shop for all the things that we offer, and we update it quite regularly. You'll get news items on there. You can see the news feed on the right-hand side there. You've also got links to all the key documents we've talked about, as well as a whole host of other links and material. Now, we did think about going through this afternoon a quick tour, live tour, but actually I'm not sure that we have time for that. So I would just advise you to put this onto your favourites and then have a click through. There are areas for which look at learning, teaching and assessment. There's support for national qualifications. There's numeracy across learning. Just take a little bit of time, if you have any time, to have an explore, and we'll continue to link back to that in future sessions. Okay, another possible link that you might want to make is the Scotland Learns newsletter. Now this comes out, I think it's every month now, Steve, is that right? Yeah.
It comes as one central monthly report. Yeah.
So this is one central newsletter which Education Scotland put all the newsletters together because we felt that people were getting bombarded in their inboxes. So there's now one central newsletter that goes out, which just gives you information about upcoming events and news from Education Scotland. You can click on the click to subscribe button. That means you can sign up and you'll get it delivered to your mailbox. Scotland Learns, during the pandemic, there was a great deal of material pulled together by a number of ourselves and others to support learning at home. Now these activities are all still there. They can be adapted. There were activities which were aimed at practitioners to set for their pupils while they were learning from home, and there was other activities that were more aimed at parents and carers to support their children. We pulled together the resources and organised them in E's and O's, and the link on the right hand side at the bottom there takes you to that page where you can then link on the particular activity linked to a particular E&O, and it will take you straight there. You can use the search function on the left-hand side. However, if you're just looking for something in particular relating to a specific E&O, then I would suggest the one which is the link is on the right. The final piece I want to site I want to highlight is Parent Zone Scotland. Parent Zone has a great variety of support material, and several practitioners have told us that they found the glossary particularly useful when they're trying to explain the definition of key vocabulary either to parents or in fact to their learners. It's really important that when we're working with learners we use that mathematical vocabulary regularly and that we're consistent and accurate with it. So that's a really useful resource there as well. Okay, and so this is, I think, possibly the final link for this afternoon, and this is that Padlet that I think Iona mentioned earlier, which pulls together all the links that we have mentioned throughout the session this afternoon, but also anything that comes up, we will add to this as we go on. We will upload the presentation materials, so the PDF version of tonight's slides will go on to that. You will, and this will just grow as we go through the 9 sessions. So again, another link to put onto your favourites. I'm going to pass back to Iona, who's just going to briefly mention our Twitter feed, and I think we are now coming towards the end of this afternoon session, so I'll pass back to Iona.
Thanks, Annette. I think hopefully that Padlet there will give you most of the links that you need, and as I say, for the materials for today, those will go up there as well. So any of the links that you've missed, hopefully you will find them there. And certainly our professional learning community has the vast majority of things that you'll need. Definitely worth a rummage on that. The difference is that the professional learning community, you need to log into Glow. The Padlet you don't. So hopefully you'll be able to at least get a reasonable number of links that you need from that. But obviously, if there's anything else that you've lost, stick it on the Padlet, ask us, and we will get back to you.
Just to come in there briefly, Iona, before we move on, I did mean to say about Glow. Although some local authorities don't regularly use Glow, every teacher in Scotland does have a Glow account, and you can, it is worth perhaps chasing that up. So even if you're not using Glow in your day-to-day teaching, it's worth just having that Glow login so that you can access the materials, because there is a lot available on Glow.
Thanks, Jeanette. Absolutely, there's lots and lots on there, and it is definitely worth getting familiar with what's available there. So we are on Twitter. And we tweet a lot of updates on what's happening in the world in numeracy and maths in Scotland, and we share some good, examples of practice, that kind of thing. And if you're on Twitter, then please do give us a follow, and we'll help keep you up to date with what's going on. We do tweet regularly. We share tweets from establishments, share good practice. So if you are doing anything that you want to share with us, then please do just tag us at EdScotMaths. And if there's anything that you do that you that you try as a result of any of these sessions, you can also hashtag ESMaths21, and we'll hopefully keep track of that throughout the year, and we'll see any ideas that you use. So today we've shared with you starting points, Blogspot. We've also shared with you which one doesn't belong. So if you use any of those or any of the Scotland Learn materials or anything like that, please do tag us with either EdScotMaths or the hashtag, and we're delighted to hear what's going on. And what's definitely going on this week is Maths Week Scotland. So hopefully your schools are all busy. Just talking about maths in a really positive light, and maybe some activities that you're taking part in. And again, if you are doing Maths Week Scotland activities, it'd be great to hear how they are getting on Twitter or whatever other social media channels your school is doing. The site Maths Week Scotland has loads of activities and resources and ideas for use, not just using through Maths Week, but throughout the year. And a great source of activities at lots of different levels there as well. So if you haven't visited the Maths Week Scotland site yet, we really do recommend it, and particularly the activities page, because there's loads there for you to try. There's another wee activity which we're not going to spend time doing because we're coming close to 5 o'clock. This was another idea for you to try, which is another brilliant site, Open Middle. These are kind of open-ended tasks for learners to have a bash at. So if you want to have a bash at that activity when we pop the slides on the Padlet, please do. And if you're looking for open-ended challenging activities for your learners, I can't recommend more. Open Middle, brilliant website there as well. Steve's going to just do the last bit, I think, just a little bit more around our team, and head off into the rest of your evening. So thanks very much from me, and hand over to Steve for the last little bit.
No worries, thanks Iona. So just to quickly point out, the Regional Improvement Collaborative, you all work for a local authority, and most of you will, and hopefully you've also heard of these RICs. We do cover every RIC in Scotland, and we work together. There's obviously 3 of us here tonight, but there are more of us to support you, and that's just really to point that out. And I'll just quickly move on to the next one, Iona, the important one. Thanks very much. So we obviously have these national webinars, and we will have them all year, but beyond that we're going to have some regional spaces. So whatever RIC or regional area you're part of, you can join these regional teams, and the education officers from Education Scotland will support you in that. Beyond these webinars, we'll put these videos in there, but we'll also have sessions to help you on a regional basis. It's also a kind of shared space for you to ask questions of each other with people in your locality, and also ask for support as well. You can either get a quick picture just now, or as Iona says, we'll put this up on the PLC, but that is the team code.
Give you just a second to take a snap of that,
Thank you.
like, or just jot down your code for your RIC. And so, sorry, just going to explain, if you go into Glow Teams, you get the option to join a team with a code, and you just need to type the code in and you'll get straight into the team.
And if there's any issues, you can let us know. I think the little group I was with got a lot out of the breakout room, and you'll get a lot of a kind of smaller shared space as well. Iona, I'll just move on just now. I'm conscious of time. Stepping Stones programme, for those who are early career teachers. So if you've just out of probation in the last 4 years, we are offering a Stepping Stones programme with the GTC, and you don't have to go to every session, but it is there for you if you'd like to reach out for support. There's a private reading group. There's a networking events for early career teachers as well. You can find out about that by clicking on the link. Thanks very much. It's over to Nanette just to wrap us up. Thanks, Nanette.
Thanks. Just to hopefully maybe clarify the whole registration and link process. I know that there's been a few people with issues around where is the link and how does it work. Peter, North Ayrshire is in the southwest. So on the screen what you'll see is a QR code and a link which you can use to register for the next meeting. These meetings are not held in a team. They are standalone meetings held within Education Scotland's corporate Teams platform. When you register, you should get an email in return with which looks a little bit, looks like the image on the right. Now I know that's not particularly clear. It was the kind of best image I could get. The purple bit right in the middle says join here. So if you've got 2 options. You either keep that email in your box, and then you click that join here when you want to join the meeting. Or if you see just up above that, there is an option to add it to your calendar. So you should be able to save that attachment, and that's a calendar link. So that will go straight into your calendar, and then when it comes to the session, you can just click into the meeting through the calendar. So I hope that makes it a little bit clearer as to how it works. The one thing I would say is have a check in your spam folder just in case, because it may be that the response has gone straight into your spam folder. It is an automatically generated, so it doesn't matter what time of day you register. If you register at midnight, you'll still get that response. It's not one of us that's sitting there at that time of night sending you a reply. It's just automatically generated. So as I say, if you know when you've registered, then that's round about the time it will pop into your box. We will send this out to everybody that registered for session 1. So if you've got colleagues who weren't able to come along tonight, they don't need to worry. It will be sent out to everyone on our contact list. And as Iona mentioned at the beginning, the registration is not as long as the initial one. It just really asks for your contact details. To finish off, just a couple of things. Iona, if you just flick on to the next one, the registration is still there. But also just some thoughts as you leave us this afternoon. What we'd like you to think about. Now, we're not asking you to share this with us. It's really just for your own reflection. So, what's the main point that you're taking away from this afternoon's session? Is there something that you think you're going to try right away? And something to think about for the Padlet. Is there something you fancy learning a bit more about, or a question that you've got for us that you would like to add on to that? So just some personal reflection at the end of today's session. And finally, just to those that are from the Southwest, when you use that joining code, that will take you into the SWEC Professional Learning team, and there is a dedicated channel within that team, which is for NQT RQTs. So this, people that are attending these sessions, or those that haven't been able to make it along. And as that's my region, I'll look forward to seeing some of you there. Hopefully next Thursday. We've got a drop-in session just to familiarise yourself with the team and introduce yourselves to each other, if you can make it along for that. And with that, I'll say thank you very much, everybody, for attending. And anything else from Stephen, Iona? Anything you'd like to come in and say?
Oh, Todd, just thanks very much for coming along tonight. We know we've thrown an awful lot at you, but the key thing would be that secondary links Padlet. Pretty much all the links that you're looking for are on there. Please do have a rummage, have a look around, and we look forward to seeing you all in about a month's time. And it's number processes on
right.
a month's time.
And
so
remember to bring along some paper and pencil, because we're planning to have some tasks, and it will be an hour and a half next time. But we will make sure that we build in some screen breaks.